What's my favorite time of day? Harley time. What's going on, motorcycling friends? So I'm about to head into work, but I thought I'd talk to you about a subject that's important to me, and one of the reasons why I continue doing this channel. One of the reasons why I continue to upload videos. And that's motivating others to ride. And a new subscriber left a comment about 2 weeks ago that was pretty meaningful to me and actually motivated me to record this video today. And I'll put it up on the screen right now. So Todd says, "Great Egert, I'm really enjoying your channel and the videos you're putting out. I'm 48 and have never ridden a motorcycle. The demands of life have prevented me from getting a bike, but I want to change that situation sometime this year. I've been watching tons of motorcycle YouTube videos. I came across your channel and I'm really enjoying it. Keep up the great work. You're inspiring me to get out and ride." So I want to break this down a little bit. I want to first say, Todd, thanks for that comment, man. That means so much to me to know that what I'm doing, putting these videos up on YouTube, is inspiring you to ride. That's really what I want to do. I mean, motorcycling has honestly changed my life, and I've expressed that in multiple videos. And I encourage you to get on any bike and ride, Harley or not. Just get on a bike, take the MSF course, get on a bike, get your feet wet, get on and ride. It's so meaningful to me to know that you haven't even gotten on a bike yet, and you're inspired by my videos to get out and ride. Todd, definitely keep me posted on when you get on a bike and how much you love it, and just everything about your experience. I'd love to know. Let me know what I can do to help out too. But I really want to focus on Todd's comment about being 48 and never being on a motorcycle. So my face is no secret. I'm not 20. I'm not a millennial. So I want to talk about getting on a bike for the first time after 40. Let's get on a ride.
Hey guys, I'm in the middle of editing right now, but I just wanted to pause for a moment because there's something I neglected to talk about during this video. Kind of wanted to do it on the bike, but Mother Nature's a little drunk right now. No, she's not even drunk. She's hungover and she's puking snow all over us. So I thought I'd just go ahead and chat with you like this. But I want to keep moving because it's cold. So let's go for a walk. So yeah, it's April 15th right now. In my lifetime, I've never seen this much snow in April. Hell, I can't remember any time that I've ever seen any snow in April. And these crow's feet right here, that's not just from smiling too much. So yeah, one thing that I didn't talk about is declining abilities as we age. And I don't want to upset the flow of the video now, so I'll talk to you about this later in the video. So stick around to the end of this video to hear my thoughts on declining motorcycling skills as we age. All right, back to present day.
Gonna go a little different way today. It's warmer out today, so my tires are gonna warm up much quicker. So I got a huge smile on my face, having fun pulling on this throttle. I have to really be careful though, because my tires are starting to wear down a little bit, and I've got new tires coming soon. In fact, they're gonna be delivered today. I don't know how soon I'll be able to get them on the bike, but I'm very happy that they'll be delivered today. And I'll definitely be doing a video on those tires. So is getting on a motorcycle for the first time after the age of 40 any different than, say, learning to ride dirt bikes as a kid and getting on street bikes as a teenager or someone in your 20s? And I'm describing this from my experience. I'm in my early 40s right now, and I got on a bike for the first time last year. And quite honestly, with a few exceptions, it's not a ton different. In fact, I would argue that it's better to get on a bike in your late 30s or over 40. So why would that be true? I'll talk about that in a little bit, but first I want to touch on how it's really not different at all. So it's not different at all because you should be doing the exact same things that somebody who wants to get into street riding in their teens or 20s that's focusing on safety when you ride. Focusing on becoming a really good rider. Getting your feet wet with an MSF course. Having somebody who knows how to ride. Truly knows how to ride. Not your friend or uncle. Somebody who's been trained to train other riders to ride a motorcycle safely. And that's taking an MSF course. Learning how to ride on a low displacement motorcycle. Getting your feet wet on the field of the MSF course. Having somebody tell you where you've made mistakes in real time. It's ridiculously helpful. They've been tearing this building down now for the better part of a week. It's crazy looking. That was a big building. I'll actually show you now what it looked like prior to what it looks like now. Getting on a motorcycle for the first time over 40 is also no different than doing it younger, in that you should still do all the same things that you would do to become a better rider. And I talk a lot about all these things in a playlist that I've created. I have quite a few videos now in that playlist. It's called New Riders Start Here. Go ahead and check that out. I got it linked up here in the upper right and also linked down below. So you shouldn't ride above your ability. You should do the research that you need to do to find the motorcycle that's right for you, for your temperament and skill level. You should read a lot of books, especially the book Proficient Motorcycling, on how to become a better motorcycle. All these things are something that every new motorcyclist should do. And that is no different. The wonderful components of motorcycling is going to be still the same, and that's throttle therapy experience. That's the camaraderie that comes with motorcycling. One beauty of motorcycling is there is no such thing that I've experienced as ageism in motorcycling. Somebody in their 20s has come up to me and talked to me about my motorcycle just as often as somebody in their 60s. In fact, that happened just the other day. In fact, I have a video coming up where some just random dude came up to me and started talking to me about my bike. Great experience. He was at least 20 years older than me, but we had that shared experience. So there's no ageism at all. It's wonderful. Your mileage may vary on that, but I have not experienced it at all. So what is different about getting on a motorcycle for the first time over the age of 40 as opposed to being younger? Now, what follows is my experience. I don't think it would be fair for me to say anything about anybody else's experience of getting on a bike over the age of 40. What I'm going to describe is entirely my experience, because I think it's going to be different for a lot of people. I add that qualifier too because what I'm going to describe is not the experience of somebody else in their 20s or younger. Not even close. So what I'm describing is entirely my experience. I love pulling on this throttle when it's this warm out. Oh, this bike's so much fun to ride. So one benefit of me learning to ride over the age of 40 is my maturity level. And D-Cycle, who's also a content creator on YouTube, go and check him out if you haven't. He left a comment on one of my videos a little while ago. I'm paraphrasing here, but D-Cycle said maturity is a big part of learning to ride over 40 and the benefits of it. I'll put the actual comment up here. But I really appreciated when he said that. And I believe he made a comment about his kids. I believe it was in my video talking about difficult people and how I related that to my experience on the motorcycle, how it's made me a better person. But D-Cycle made a comment about how maturity is a big part of that, and I agree. That has helped me a lot with the motorcycle, I think. For one, I'm less risk averse than somebody over 40. I'm not saying everybody in their 20s is risk averse. I know from my own experience, I know for myself, I would have done a lot of stupid things in my 20s if I learned to ride in my 20s. I did a lot of stupid things in my 20s. Again, I'm not saying that all 20-somethings do stupid things on motorcycles. This is my own experience, and I know I would have gotten into a lot of trouble had I learned how to ride a motorcycle in my 20s. So that maturity level allows me to focus on safety, focus on keeping myself safe on the motorcycle, so I can have fun on the motorcycle. Because if I'm not safe, at the end of the day, what fun is it? Another good thing about getting on the bike for the first time over 40, for me, was I'm able to afford motorcycling. And motorcycles are considered a luxury item. And I know that you can find really inexpensive bikes and get into motorcycling. I know that that's possible. But one thing about motorcycling, when you first start getting into it, you really want a bike that's gonna run really well for you, not break down. You want to spend more time learning how to ride it, not learning how to fix it when you first started riding. Now I'm doing a café racer build, and I'm learning an awful lot about how to get an engine started, how to get that motorcycle back on the road. But I wouldn't have wanted to do that a year ago for my first bike. And then I know in my 20s there's no way I would have been able to afford motorcycling. Or at least the motorcycles that I want. Right now, I'm in a financial position where I can buy motorcycles. I can buy parts to mod out that motorcycle. And I'm starting to look at other motorcycles right now, and I'm planning on buying another one. I can make that progression from riding my 883 to a bigger bike because I'm in a financial position to do so. I know 20 years ago there's no way I would have been able to do that. So that's another perk that I've experienced. And again, I'm not saying that every 20-something can't afford motorcycles. Many of them can. I know I wasn't in that position. And it feels good now to be in that position, to be able to say, hey, I can afford my toys. It really does feel good. So I've said before, my only regret about motorcycling is I've waited this long to get on a bike. And I still believe that. I wish I would have started earlier. I would have had a lot more fun. But the reality is, 40 is not old. No matter what somebody younger than 40 says, 40 is not old. I've got another 30 years at least on the bike, maybe more. You've heard the saying, 40 is the new 30, 50 is the new 40, 80 is the new 70. I plan on riding for as long as I can. So I've got a long time on the bike yet. And I'm looking forward to a ton of more years on the bike. I really am.
All right, back to editing, Joe. All right, so declining motorcycle skills as we age. So in 2013, the New York Times had an article on one of their health blogs talking about motorcycle accidents in relationship to our age. I'm gonna be a little controversial here. This is not something that I normally do on my channel, but the opening paragraph of the article states, if you're over 40 and planning to hop on a motorcycle, take care. Compared with younger riders, odds of being seriously injured are high. So one issue I have with this is something that I see with news articles about cyclists. I've seen this throughout my cycling life, which has been most of my life. And now I'm seeing the same thing with motorcycles. I highly doubt the author of this blog post has ever ridden a motorcycle in their entire life, or even knows what it's like. So what the study did was it used crash statistics from 1.5 million riders 20 years old and older from 2001 to 2008. And the researchers split these statistics into 3 different groups. Those who are in their 20s and 30s, those who are in their 40s and 50s, and 60 and older. And what they found was injury rates for all groups was on the rise during that time span. But it was the steepest for those 60 and older, and slightly higher for those in their 40s and 50s. So I forgot to mention that these statistics are only including riders with injuries severe enough to end up in the hospital. And I think by me saying that, some of you know exactly where I'm going with this. So mind you, this study was just on statistics, and there's no conclusions of it. It's only developed theories. And the article actually states that for older riders, consequences of a collision were especially alarming. Older and middle-aged bikers are more likely to sustain fractures and dislocations, and they had a far greater chance of ending up with injuries to internal organs, including brain damage. Now mind you that this study did not have any conclusions. They just compiled statistics. And the research actually has some good theories. But this article decided to just cherry pick 3 of them. This article states that the researchers speculate that the increased likelihood of those middle-aged and older to be involved in a serious crash that would involve hospitalization is because 1, reduced vision, 2, fragility, and 3, which has nothing to do with the other 2, that older riders tend to ride bigger bikes. That's entirely speculation. What this article fails to concentrate on is culture. I'd like to think that motorcycling culture in the last 20 years or so has had a different view of protective gear. And also protective gear has greatly improved. Now I'm not suggesting that every single baby boomer decides to not wear protective gear, but I know the culture was a lot different 20 years ago. Heck, when I was a kid, we didn't have seatbelt laws in my state. And I remember taking a trip to Canada with my parents, and my parents at the time didn't wear seatbelts. Canada had a seatbelt law. And the minute we got back in the United States, my dad popped off his seatbelt. And I think the culture surrounding protective gear is kind of the same way. As motorcyclists, more of us now view protective gear much more differently. One thing the article states is that middle-aged and older riders were more prone to have brain injuries. Helmets weren't as good 20 years ago as they are now, and I know there's a hell of a lot more riders wearing helmets right now. All right, I'm back inside, much warmer in here. So I just want to touch on one more thing before we go back to the motovlog. I'm going to talk about another study, not necessarily to counter the statistical study that I just talked about, except one point in it. That is a speculation that reduced cognitive ability in riders middle-aged and older that resulted in a greater percentage of motorcycle crashes that led to hospitalization. So the study is called The Relationship of Motorcycle Riding and the Human Mind, and it was conducted by Dr. Ryuta Kawashima. I've actually talked about this study in one of my previous videos. Probably very soon after I started my channel, I talked about this study in one of my videos. I don't really recall which one right now. If I can find it, maybe I'll link it below. So Dr. Kawashima focused on 2 things during the study. 1, cognitive ability, and overall mental health. I'll touch on mental health in just a moment, but let me focus on the cognitive ability component itself. So what he did was he had 2 groups of riders with an average age of 45. One group had been riding throughout their lives, had them ride their motorcycle from point A to point B, basically a commute to work, every day. And the other group was riders who knew how to ride motorcycles proficiently, but had taken 10 years or more off the bike, and had them do the same thing, commute to work, basically. So the first group that I described is the control group. The second group he focused on, cognitive ability. He showed that the group that had taken time off the motorcycle, gotten back into motorcycling, commuted to work every day, showed improved cognition in each one of those riders. Now I'm not a neurosurgeon, so I can't really get into the science of studying the human brain and cognitive ability. But I can say from personal experience that motorcycling has made me a more focused individual. So the statistical study that I talked about earlier, speculating that cognitive ability decline in riders middle-aged or older could be one of the reasons. I really like to use this study to counter that. I know a lot of riders out there watching this video have experienced the same thing that I have, where I feel much more focused on the bike. And Dr. Kawashima's study is a really good counter argument against the speculation that declining cognitive ability results in more motorcycle crashes for those middle-aged and older. In fact, I would argue that it is very rare for somebody with declining cognitive ability to get on a bike. Just the very nature of motorcycle riding improves our cognitive ability. Now let me touch on the mental health component of Dr. Kawashima's study. I know personally I've experienced this. I've actually recorded a video on this talking about throttle therapy. I know that I am much, much happier during a ride and after a ride than I was before I got on the bike. So before we get back to the motovlog, I just want to say thanks for watching this video. If you found it informative, if you were entertained at all, go ahead and click on that like button. It helps the channel out an awful lot. If this is one of your first visits to the channel, if you're thinking about getting on the bike, if you've recently got on a bike, or even if you're a vet and you're new here, go ahead and click on that subscribe button. If you want to see more videos just like this, go ahead and click on that bell icon so you know when I upload more videos exactly like this. So let's get back to the motovlog. Thanks for watching, everybody.
So what do you guys think? How many of you are over 40 right now and you feel comfortable saying so? Go ahead and leave comments below and let me know your experience. I'd really like to know. I'd like to have this a shared experience for all of us, because that's really what this channel's about. Getting people to ride, getting people inspired to ride, and having us all chat about it on the channel. That's the most meaningful part about this channel. And hey, stay safe out there. Keep your wheels rolling in the right direction. I'll see you in the next video, everybody. Thanks for watching.